about how you're doing things now, and if it changed when you were competing at 50 versus earlier than that, let's say training wise, 40s. How is it different now? And maybe you can dive into what your training is like as far as your routine, what your frequency is like. That would be really cool for the listeners just to hear how you're doing things.
Right. Well, okay, yeah, segue into that. There's so many avenues of training, right? Whatever tributary you want to take, on this path, that path. People said, I'll talk to guys, they'll say, Marshall, I'm doing this, but I'll think about doing this. What do you think? I'll go, it'll work. What, you think so? I said, anytime you change something, unless you're doing something just crazy, the body will usually respond. That's why a lot of times when guys get on, think, man, I'm doing this amazing program. I'm seeing all kinds of gains. I go, yep, probably so. The next one you change to from that, you're probably going to see some changes as well. So my model hasn't really changed, meaning, anytime you come back, at least I find, you're trying to figure things out again. Like your body is responding. When you get older, the body does respond differently, right? So recovery time, I think, is the main thing. One thing I've learned as I've got older is that if the body's not ready to go back and hit that muscle group, then I don't do it, right? Because certain things, like I want to do some RDLs, is some things that I'm now putting back in my routine that I know if things are sore and if I pull something, man, it's 2-3 months. I mean, it's just, it just nags you, right? I got a little shoulder thing going on. It just nags you so I try to train in such a way. My motto now is train to train another day. Hey, train to train another day.
I like that.
So, yeah, if I go in there and my routine is this, and I start doing something, which I did, even though I stopped, it still had kind of hampered my shoulder a little bit. Some machines that I typically want to start with just because I feel like it gets me warmed up better, right? And then go to certain other machines. When I walked in the gym, it was a little later, it was packed, which is fine to have a lot of machines. So there's a machine I like, but I like to do it later. And I started doing it. I said, well, I'll just start out here. When you do that, I should have started out a little lighter, but I started out at weight and I felt like, man, it's just pulling just a little bit. Let me just work. Should have stopped, took the weight off, but I worked through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So things that I
abort.
Things that I have
abort. Abort, basically, like abort the exercise.
Abort. Yeah, exactly. And there's other things I just should have went lighter on that. Typically, when I get to that machine, as far as my training regimen, it's really knowing, now listen to my body. If there are things where when I was younger, I'd kind of say I'll push through it and I'd recover. But now that shoulders always had some injuries along the way, and once it gets exacerbated, I can feel it when I do a lot of different things, right? So last night I was doing chest, and so that movement through the rear, certain things when I'm doing flies. So now I have to really warm it up, get blood in it and all that good stuff just to make sure that I can now do the exercise. So I've got to go see my chiropractor and get it worked out and all that. And once that happens, then it just seems like my body just jumps right back up because, when you have an injury, you compensate for it. You compensate for things. So part of my training, talking about the training regimen, I typically train one body part a week, with exception of a body part that I feel like would be lacking. I'll try to do it. So, for example, like if I'm not getting ready for a show, I'll do 5 days. I'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. I'm starting to get ready for a show, then I'll use Wednesday, split the legs and do glutes and hams, right, on Wednesday. And then as things start really progressing, Sunday becomes hey, what body part is lacking, but I still need to have enough time to do it twice to bring it up a little bit more. Since my shoulders have had a little bit of an injury, been lacking a little bit, so I haven't been able to train shoulders the way I would like. I need to go see the chiropractor, just get that little kink worked out and all that stuff. So I'll go to shoulders twice and hit shoulders on Sunday, but I'll do a different routine for shoulders on Sunday than I would and I'll do shoulders on Thursday. And really on Thursday gives me enough time for them to recoup so I can do shoulders again on Sunday. And so that's kind of my routine as far as training is concerned. Sometimes I'll, buys and tries I do together. Everything else I pretty much do as a separate workout. I like machines because I can really focus on the squeeze a little bit more on what I'm doing, except, when I'm doing dumbbell presses and things like that. I'll typically go with there's a lot of great machines out there now that you can really, focus on the muscle itself, the muscle group. I never have been. I mean, I obviously used to be much stronger when I was younger. Strength is not nearly the same as it was, but I've never been one concerned. I've never chased numbers because I've never been a power lifter. I don't really look at, hey, PRs, guys that do, that's great. I find that going for certain things, if you want to use that term PR, personal best and all that good stuff, that you're more prone for injuries, especially as I get older. That's something I definitely don't want to have happen because it just takes longer to recover. I don't chase any numbers. I'm always looking at the muscle, how it's shaped, what it looks like, how it looks in regards to other things when I'm posing, since that's the element that I'm looking for. The plight of the natural bodybuilder is when you have clothes on, they're like, yeah, they can tell you work out, right? Having to put on a tank top and all of a sudden, dude,
Yes.
how did you get there in like 2 weeks?
Yeah. They assume, right, that you were never lifting.
Yes, man.
That,
And the young guys want to know, dude, what do you bench? What do you bench, like 450? And I go, mission accomplished, because I just need to look like it. I don't need to bench it.
yeah.
Matter of fact, I don't do flat bench at all. That's how I hurt my shoulder initially. I don't think I've done it
Okay.
in 15, 20 years. Literally, I probably have
Yeah.
not done flat bench. So just for those that can and do, great. But I find that repetitive heavy weight and that coming down sometimes a little deeper and just, excelling up and getting that push. And what happened was I was training at, actually was a church that I was going to at the time, and they had a gym in the basement, a couple of guys that they like to train, and the bench was very narrow. And we're training and they were pretty strong. So I was putting weight on there and like I said, I never really benched heavy, but 315, but that coming down with that narrow bench, everything was really between shoulders and chest and really just driving it up, right? Not really having any support. Man, that over a period of weeks, I started feeling it. And you're hanging with the guys, you're pushing through, and that it must have took me. I rehabbed it myself, but it probably took. I bet you took a year and a half. Then I stopped doing fat. I was doing incline, could do incline, but I
With
literally
the
was starting out
barbell?
with the bar, with
Yeah. Yeah.
barbell, and just really changing my focus and how I trained, and now how am I going to work that muscle that I'm no longer doing something that I thought I had to do, flat bench. But I realized that.
Well, do you think that that's a lot, especially younger folks who are serious about wanting to progress and build muscle, that they get trapped in that they think they have to do these certain exercises to build the physique? But look what you're saying. You haven't done a flat barbell bench press in over however many years it's been, right?
Yeah,
So
it has literally been, well, it's been 20 years, has to be, because I haven't done it since I came back at 50. So it's been 20 years. I haven't done that bench, like I said, for that reason. I just felt like, what, that movement, whatever it creates a little bit. Could I work up to it? But what's the point for me? Right. I
right.
don't have to do that for what I do, for what I'm
Right.
trying to accomplish.